That's the end, ladies and gentlemen. So we go to lunch now.
Africities has always meant we have
all of us will be in the master. But let's finish our business properly. We have 30 minutes, more or less, to go. Finish the business. Finish the business properly. Please, can people sit? Can people see? It will be good that if people get seated so that we can start our proceedings. Governor, ministers, we cannot leave this place. We have some testimonies of what people lived. And I want you to listen to the different stakeholders that came in to celebrate Kisumu, to celebrate King at Africities. So we'll ask for, listen to me, and don't tell me I'm being rude to you while I warned you before. For a 3-minute testimony from different stakeholders that are here. We'll start with our traditional rulers. A 3-minute, I repeat, we want a 3-minute testimony from our traditional rulers to tell us their takeaway from this gathering. Majesty Four, please. Majesty Four is King of Congo, and he will introduce the people and allow him 1 minute to introduce the people. The countdown will start after the 1 minute.
Excellences honorables, distingués participants et différents conférenciers, tout protocole observé, je voudrais ici remercier le secrétaire général pour cette occasion que nous avons faite pour nous adresser à cette assemblée. Je voudrais, avant d'entrer dans le peu de témoignages de ces 3 minutes, présenter tous ces hôtes qui se sont engagés à rejoindre ce sommet de Kisumu au Kenya, qui sont les autorités traditionnelles d'Afrique. Je voudrais commencer par vous annoncer que nous sommes dans ce que nous appelons l'Union africaine des autorités traditionnelles, que nous présidons, qui part de 2015 et qui a eu à participer à tous les sommets depuis 2015 en rassemblant les différentes autorités traditionnelles, les différentes associations pour créer un bloc uni à la défense de cette Afrique. Je m'en vais directement à présenter mes collègues qui m'ont rejoint ici dans cette organisation de Africities. Majesté Essombe, qui est du Cameroun, qui est notre secrétaire général. Majesté, je voudrais que vous veniez en même temps devant, ça nous permettrait de faire une photo unique. Nous avons Majesté Djoli du Togo, qui nous vient du Togo. Nous avons Sa Majesté Mumia, qui est notre chef traditionnel roi Mumia du Togo, donc du Kenya, excusez-moi. Le Kenya est honoré, le Togo est déjà ici. Nous avons Majesté Mitimikulu de l'Afrique du Sud. Nous avons Majesté Adetutu de Bénin. Rapidement, s'il vous plaît. Nous avons Majesté Baridam du Nigeria. Majesté Otto du Cameroun. La Queen Awindor du Ghana. Nous avons Majesté Bakari Lamido du Cameroun. Nous avons la Queen Seiso Mabena qui est la princesse du royaume de Lesotho et reine de l'Afrique du Sud. Nous avons la princesse Tchétchelelo Tekaya qui est la princesse du royaume de Swaziland et Swatini. Nous avons Majesté Ekeke du Cameroun. Nous avons le prince Mikiva de l'Afrique du Sud, prince Mikiva Zolani, qui est en même temps le secrétaire général de Contrôler-ça, qui est l'organisation du roi de l'Afrique du Sud. Nous avons le prince Dobel, qui est notre point focal avec les CGLUA, qui nous accompagne dans toutes nos actions. Nous avons enfin, je ne dirais pas enfin, nous avons le prince Brok Temesgem, qui est ici en qualité d'intervenant, mais qui est également dans notre organisation des autorités traditionnelles depuis plus de 3 ans, qui nous vient de l'Éthiopie. Nous avons enfin Majesté Tani Robinson, qui nous a accompagnés dans cette édition de Kisumu 2022. Et donc, dans cette suite, nous avons également 2 assistants qui nous ont rejoints dans l'action. Un qui a été avec nous depuis 2016 à Marrakech au Maroc, qui venait malheureusement de prendre son avion très tôt matin. Il s'agit de M. Mohamed Hedwafi, qui est déjà dans son avion pour le retour. Nous avons également le prince Maïba, qui s'occupe de cette action de relation et qui est avec nous. Il est également du Cameroun. Nous avons la princesse Ananda, que je vais disparaître un certain temps, mais qui est effectivement dans les actions humanitaires. Je vous présente ici toute la délégation. Nous avons du Ghana, Majesté Fiti 5, qui nous rejoindra un peu plus tard, qui est également accompagnée d'une reine du Togo. Nous voudrons ici vous remercier sincèrement, d'abord présenter nos remerciements à Sa Majesté Mohamed VI pour cette initiative, cet accompagnement qui nous a honorés à partir de 2015. Nous voudrons ici présenter tous nos remerciements et notre accompagnement, toute notre gratitude et reconnaissance à son Excellence Mbassi, qui, quand vous le suivez dans cette intervention, n'arrête de rappeler l'Afrique ancestrale et il n'arrête de nous bousculer, de nous rappeler que nous avions des droits, des attributions, des obligations d'accompagner, de réveiller cette Afrique qui est recherchée dans son développement. Et donc, tout à l'heure, nous serons encore honorés de l'avoir et de pouvoir accepter cette gratitude que nous avions, que nous allons présenter par une décoration honorifique en son honneur. Je voudrais remercier le chef de l'État du Kenya, son Excellence qui nous a accueillis dans son pays, le gouverneur qui nous a reçus, avec tout l'accompagnement d'une sécurité et d'une garantie d'une vie africaine ancestrale. Puissiez-vous trouver ici notre accompagnement, Excellence Mbassi, toute notre reconnaissance, nos bénédictions du très haut, nos résolutions seront transmises à qui de droit selon l'organe technique. Que les très hauts, les ancêtres bénissent ces assises qui vont vers leur fin et que le très haut puisse asseoir cette Afrique ancestrale qui sont également recherchées. Nous sommes avec vous, nous sommes ensemble et vive l'Afrique. Merci.
we have honorary members that were decorated at Lena. And among these honorary members, we have singled out someone that ladies love a lot. He is the single unique designer that is known worldwide. Mr. Alfred, can you address us?
Très heureux et très honoreux d'être là ce soir. I speak French is better for me. Et je voudrais vraiment remercier M. Mbassi. Je voudrais remercier tout à fait le Royaume du Maroc. Je voulais remercier les 54 pays africains qui ont fait un travail considérable pour la culture et pour l'art. Je voudrais remercier nos patrons, nos chefs et nos rois traditionnels qui ont fait le déplacement pour être là aujourd'hui. Bravo. Je voudrais surtout vous dire que Africities, c'est uniquement la beauté, la création, l'art, donner une dignité à l'Afrique. Créer de l'emploi dans nos cités, créer des nouvelles villes, dans l'art, dans le tissage, dans la bijouterie, dans la maroquinerie, et que les noms des grands créateurs africains soient reconnus mondialement. On a des festivals mondialement connus dans le FIMA, qui va se faire bientôt à Rabat, capitale des cultures africaines. Rabat, une image positive, parce que M. Mbassi l'a voulu, parce que le roi, surtout, Sa Majesté que Dieu l'assiste, l'a voulu, et parce qu'il veut aussi que l'Afrique soit très loin. On a élu Mme Fatoumata comme présidente des femmes de la Mauritanie. Nous sommes très fiers de voir que la beauté continue à exister, et que l'amour pour l'Afrique continue à être avec nous, et que notre déclaration a été une réussite totale. Les créateurs africains, dont je suis le président des créateurs africains, 54 pays africains, seront là peut-être l'année prochaine, dans 3 ans en Égypte. Monsieur Bassi, encore félicitations pour ce grand combat que nous menons pour le continent africain. Je voulais dire merci, saluer le président de la République de Kenya qui a été incroyable, l'accueil a été superbe, nous avons été, on a mangé notre faim, on a dormi bien, on avait les voitures de partout. Bravo pour le continent africain de se donner la main par la création, par l'art, par la beauté, et que les communes, les gouverneurs se donnent la main pour que l'Afrique puisse exister. L'Afrique va aller très loin. Que Dieu grandisse l'Afrique. Je voulais remercier le gouverneur, qui est un grand monsieur, le gouverneur de Kisumu, votre fille, qui est l'ambassadeur, qui est le goodwill ambassadeur for this event. C'est une grande dame que nous connaissons, qui a fait un travail incroyable pour la beauté africaine et le cinéma africain. Je ne vais pas oublier les musiciens, je ne vais pas oublier les chanteurs ni les actrices de cinéma. Et votre fille fait l'honneur de notre continent, elle est de Kisumu, elle est kenyane. Merci encore, monsieur le gouverneur, et on est fiers. Thanks so much. Merci encore, monsieur Jean-Pierre. Que Dieu grandisse cette grande organisation et que ça continue pour la beauté, créateur d'emplois, lutter contre la pauvreté pour que l'Afrique soit encore plus et plus grand. On est un continent positif, on s'aime et on doit s'aimer encore plus. Merci.
I'll call to the stage the representative of UNCDF, one of our partners in office. Then I will call so that they know before. Greg Muno, I don't know if he's still in the room or if not. Billy Corbett. And then I will call Reverend Pope for the mayors. And this will end the testimonies of our honorary members. Then we'll go to the official final stage of this meeting. Then we'll start after these testimonies with the president of UCAT Africa elect. Then the mayor of Kisumu, the governor of Kisumu. I'm so used to mayors. And the closing word by Mr. Gorman. And I hope we'll hold the deadline that we want to give us. Please. Here.
Thank you very much indeed, Jean-Pierre Elong-Mbassi. So what do I take from that? My name is David Jackson, Director of Local Transformative Finance at UN Capital Development Fund. And thank you for this opportunity. Yes, we've got a lot of takeaways from this meeting, and I would want to list 4 of them. Firstly, what was stated in the opening, 40% of Africa's GDP is generated in secondary cities. Those secondary cities do not receive 40% they do not receive that proportion back to reinvest. It's necessary to reinvest, recycle that money back into the engine of Africa's growth. That is the first takeaway I get. Second takeaway, it's time to think of the world in a multi-level way. Yes, sovereign governments are very important. Yes, business is very important. But cities also have a role. There has to be kinds of direct access between cities and finance, whether it's development finance, whether it's capital market finance, whether it's climate finance. That connection has to be made. Thirdly, in order for this to happen, there needs to be new institutions that don't yet exist. We have heard a lot about the African Territorial Agency. That must become a reality, and we're committed to making it so. There are also institutions that will be discussed at COP about direct access for local governments to global climate finance. I'm just going to throw this idea out there. Somebody said in a meeting, why can't there be a tax on aviation fuel and maritime fuel, and that tax collected into a pot and channeled directly to the rural and peri-urban and urban local governments that are suffering the effects of climate change through the regular intergovernmental fiscal transfer system. That proposal is at COP. Something like that to connect those who are suffering with the polluters. We don't have that mechanism yet. That's my third takeaway. These mechanisms, African Territorial Agency, climate tax. Finally, final mechanism, the final takeaway is that, echoing what was said by Jean-Pierre Mbassi, if I was an African president, if you ask an African president today, what is your priority? They are unlikely to say, my priority is developing secondary cities. My priority is fiscal decentralization. My priority is really driving the country forward through my cities. We have to change that mindset. As Billy Cobbett said, it's one economy, it's one people. In this room, there are the engines of African transformation. It's time to invest in them, but it's time for our national leaders to wake up and find out that their answer is lying within their territories. Thank you.
There is an honorable member that is a distinctive one. He is called Jano Awusu Kwajo. He is the president of the Senate of Cote d'Ivoire. He could not come. And he said to me, please, give a slot to my alternate here, who is the Minister of Sport of Cote d'Ivoire, and at the same time, the President of the Union of Local Authorities of Cote d'Ivoire, Mr. Paulin Dabo.
Monsieur le ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs les maires, chers collègues, honorables chefs traditionnels, je voudrais remercier particulièrement notre secrétaire général Elan Bassi qui donne l'opportunité ce matin de transmettre un message. Le message de Jean-Claude Aoussoukwadio, qui est le président du Sénat de Côte d'Ivoire. Il a été honoré hier avec tous les lauréats parmi ceux qui portent la gouvernance locale en Afrique. Il aurait bien voulu être là lui-même aujourd'hui parmi nous. Malheureusement, il a été retenu en Côte d'Ivoire. Vous savez, notre pays organise la 15e COP sur la désertification. Et nous recevons plus de 4000 invités venus partout dans le monde. Et il a dû rester aux côtés du chef de l'État pour recevoir tous nos distingués invités venus de partout. Le seul message qu'il me demande d'apporter ici rapidement, c'est de dire que la décentralisation n'est pas une option. C'est un impératif de bonne gouvernance pour l'Afrique. L'Afrique, et cela s'est traduit dans toutes nos discussions ici, ne peut pas avoir une transformation structurelle sans se baser sur les territoires. Nous avons donc une grande responsabilité et il me charge de dire qu'en Côte d'Ivoire, le Sénat qui dirige et tous les élus locaux sont engagés à mettre en œuvre toutes les résolutions de Kisumu et il me charge de remercier le gouvernement kenyan ainsi que toutes les autorités pour l'accueil qui a été réservé à l'Afrique ici et que Dieu bénisse l'Afrique. Je vous remercie.
Now it is my responsibility to call on stage the President-elect of UCLD Africa, Madame Fatoumata Malik. And she mentioned to me something that I'm mentioning to the people that are airlining this. She said, we wish that in the screen appears Africities and not Google.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على النبي الكريم. Monsieur le ministre de la décentralisation du Kenya, Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres, Monsieur le gouverneur du comté de Kisumu, Madame la présidente de l'EFELA, chers frères et amis élus aux différents échelons des collectivités territoriales, Majesté, chef autorité traditionnelle, Monsieur le secrétaire général de CGD Afrique, cher Lombassi, Mesdames, Messieurs, en vos grades, titres et qualités respectives. Permettez-moi tout d'abord d'adresser mes vifs remerciements à l'endroit de son Excellence Uhuru Kenyatta, président du Kenya, et à son gouvernement, aux partenaires au développement, à tous ceux qui ont œuvré à la réussite du 9e sommet d'Africities, tenu cette année dans la belle ville et paisible de Kisumu, sous le thème « Le rôle des villes intermédiaires dans la mise en œuvre de l'agenda 2030 des Nations Unies et de l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine ». En effet, tenir un sommet de cette ampleur, avec la présence de plus de 8000 participants dans une ville intermédiaire, a été un défi que nous avons relevé, un pari que nous avons gagné. Je remercie Monsieur le gouverneur de Kisumu, Professeur Peter Anyang Ngunyo et Monsieur le secrétaire général de CGD d'avoir joué le rôle parfaitement qu'ils avaient à jouer. Les remerciements vont également à toutes les délégations membres d'honneur et les panélistes qui ont contribué à la réussite des travaux de notre sommet en abordant 5 thématiques importantes et qui sont au cœur des préoccupations de nos collectivités territoriales, à savoir la place des villes intermédiaires dans la dynamique populaire de l'Afrique, le rôle des villes intermédiaires dans la transformation structurelle de l'Afrique, la réponse à la pandémie Covid-19 dans les villes intermédiaires, le rôle des villes intermédiaires dans la transformation sociale et culturelle, le rôle des villes intermédiaires dans l'intégration continentale. Je tiens aussi à saluer le travail remarquable des assemblées générales des réseaux de CGI Afrique, tenus parallèlement aux assises d'Africities, qui ont abouti à des choix appropriés et consensuels, ainsi que tous les exposants au salon Africities. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous sommes conscients de l'ampleur de la tâche qui nous incombe, ainsi de nombreux dossiers importants que nous devons traiter. En effet, notre organisation est à la croisée des chemins. Après avoir apporté le plaidoyer pour la décentralisation
advocates for the local government and regional government and obtain its recognition at the European and African level. UCLG is committed
pour la prochaine décennie en faisant de l'assistance technique à ses membres une priorité pour qu'enfin la localisation des objectifs du développement durable soit réalité locale. Mesdames, Messieurs, enfin, la volonté politique de plus en plus favorable à céder plus de pouvoir aux acteurs locaux, les pouvoirs centraux, plus que jamais convaincus que les politiques politiques doivent être portées par les collectivités territoriales, l'engagement des élus africains, l'accompagnement des partenaires de développement et les compétences techniques de l'ensemble des dispositions de notre organisation phare CGI Afrique sont autant de gages pour donner des raisons d'espérer enfin afin de gagner le combat de développement de notre territoire. Mesdames et messieurs, je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Dans le programme, il y avait marqué avant que Madame parle, il y avait
a testimony by an American delegation. But apparently, my people didn't succeed to join. I want to mention this delegation is formed by two senators, I think 5 business people, the promoter of what we call the door of our return, and they organized a diaspora meeting. I think people that attended this diaspora meeting appreciated the will to build new relationships with the motherland. It is unfortunate that my services didn't manage to have them here, but I wanted to mention it before we go to Governor Nyong'o to tell us, not yet goodbye, because it's at Galadima, but the word of closing, and then we will be followed by his
the Secretary General for the United Union of Cities and Local Governments of Africa, Aliafeja Pierre Lombasi, the Cabinet Secretary for Devolution and Minister for Defense, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, my Permanent Secretary Julius Correa, various heads of delegations, mayors, all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The curtain has finally fallen this evening on the 9th edition of Africities Summit in Kisumu. After 5 days of action-packed deliberations, high-profile presentations and benchmarking, each one of us will be preparing to leave and go home. But one question will linger on our minds, and that is, what have we learned and what are we carrying home? This evening, as I give my vote of thanks and say goodbye to you, I will also be thanking the High Patronage of His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, who left us with a homework to respond to the 12 questions or points that he raised. I do believe that those who will give a summary and resolutions of this conference, of this summit, will include those 12 points which are our homework, and will form part of the work that we do in each one of our countries as a follow-up to this summit, so that this summit does not become a work in vain. I therefore want to say that there are two things I think that we must have learned from this summit, and that will form part and parcel of responding to the High Patronage 12-point homework. First, we must be committed to change in Africa. Progressive change. Second, we must undertake this change ourselves and not outsource it. Partners, development partners, or anybody else. Let me illustrate this. You remember what Karl Marx wrote in 1845 as the 11th thesis of Joseph Ludwig Feuerbach. Marx wrote, philosophers have interpreted the world in various ways, but the point, however, is to change it. In this conference, we have interpreted and analyzed problems of cities and local governance and devolved governance in various ways. One of them you've just heard this morning, where resources come from, where they go, whether they use, and so on. The point, however, is solve that problem, not to keep on speaking about it. In the book of John, chapter 5, verse 8, those of you who read the Bible, it is reported that when Jesus encountered a beggar sitting on a mat and begging for money, he told him, and I quote, "Silver nor gold have I none, but what I have will I thee. Stand up and walk." The story is reported differently in the book of Acts, chapter 3, verse 6, where Peter, Jesus' disciple, is reported to have met the same fellow. Peter, meeting a similar beggar, said, Silver and gold I have none, but such as I have I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk. We sitting here are like Peter. We have listened to these stories from our leaders. From Manchester in 1945, at the 4th Pan-African Congress, where it was attended by great leaders like Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah and Jomo Kenyatta, where Africans said, we are going to stand up and walk. So in the name of our heroes and leaders in the Pan-African Congress in Manchester in 1945, and the All-African People's Congress in Dakar in 1958, from all that have been dreamt of in the new perspective for Africa's development and the AU Agenda 2063, which we are committed to implement, the theme has always been, let Africa stand up and walk. But we keep on interpreting Africa in various ways. The point, however, is now to be committed to a progressive program of action that will change Africa for the better. Let us pick ourselves up with our own bootstraps and fulfill the dreams of our forefathers, those who are passed on and those who are still here, so that our people, as we say today, can live a life worth living. By having Africa which is developed, dignified, habited by fulfilled people, not people who doubt their dream of a future they are not quite sure they will achieve. In Kenya, we say, it can be done. Play your part. Inawezekana. The Africa Territorial Agency is one such initiative which calls us to pick up ourselves with our own bootstraps, our own resources, and change lives in our urban areas, our intermediary cities, for our people to live a life worth living in this 21st century. So that by the time we reach the year 2063, the African Union agenda should not be one of those interpretations of what is happening in Africa, but it will have been a program action that we realize every day. But we cannot do it unless on a daily basis we are working for it. In Kisumu, we say, teach, tire, work is being done. Let that work be done over Africa in fulfillment of the hopes of our leaders from 1945 in Manchester, 1958 in Accra, 1963 in Addis Ababa, and many more other such coming together as we have come today at this 9th summit of Africities in this great city of Kisumu. Mungu abarikiwe. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Waziri, I humbly ask you to come and do the closing speech of this meeting.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, our kings, queens, and
princes who are here, and all the traditional leaders from all over Africa who have graced this occasion. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. May I, before I read my official speech, because I've been told this is the official closing, I must do the official part. Just say two things that I'm supposed to say here today. One is thank you to all of you and to each one of you who's been able to attend these Africities and make history with us as the county of Kisumu and the country of Kenya as the first intermediary city to host Africities. It's really been an honor and a pleasure having you these 5 days, and we look forward to having you a little longer beyond today. Please don't be in a hurry to go back. Enjoy this great city of Kisumu. The second thing is to say, what do we take away from Kisumu? And to me, I think having listened to all the experts, the panelists, and I must thank William Corbett for moderating the session that we've had here, the last one and the most critical one. And thank my colleague ministers who stayed on for this very critical session that brought together all the players in the tripartite dialogue that we've had here, very candid. I must thank you for being here for that. What we are taking away really is that the experts are telling us by 2050 we'll have over 60% of Africa's population in our intermediary cities. The experts are also telling us these intermediary cities are generating over 40% of Africa's GDP. But are we reciprocating in terms of investing in these engines of Africa's transformation? I think that is the main issue we should take away, to see how we can invest more in our intermediary cities so that we are able to realize the UN Agenda 2030 and Africa's Agenda 2063. And doing this is really not an option. It is an imperative of our time as Africa, if we want to see Africa rise. And if we want to give true meaning to the concept of Africa rising, we will need to see more rising stars like Kisumu and other intermediary cities across Africa, all the way from the Cape to Cairo, all the way from Lamu to Lagos. We need to invest more in our intermediary cities. I think let that be our takeaway, even as we prepare to go to Egypt in 2025 for the next Africities. So allow me to now go to my official speech. It is indeed my pleasure to be here today as we take stock of the deliberations for the last 5 days, as we also officially conclude the 9th edition of the Africities Summit. Let me then take this opportunity to thank you all for finding time out of your busy schedules to join us here in Kisumu, where we have discussed weighty matters that the continent must address in order to make the lives of our citizens living in urban areas better. It is my hope that during these 5 days, we have created new bonds and friendships and started conversations that will continue enriching our actions in years to come. I therefore want to urge all of us to continue reflecting on the rich discussions, experiences shared, and resolutions agreed upon to move Africa to the next level. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, when we started the journey to host this summit in an intermediary city almost 4 years ago, we knew it was not going to be an easy task, but we have made it, which I believe illustrates the resilience of African cities and their inhabitants. And if Kisumu can do it, there are other African cities yet undiscovered that can do it. I am reliably informed by the organizing committee that though we had a target of 8,000 delegates, we have actually surpassed that target we have had almost 11,000 delegates who attended. That means we have succeeded. Hongera, Professor Anyango. Kisumu has opened the door to other intermediary cities around. I therefore want to profusely thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, for the leadership and for marshalling the financial support required to host this summit. My co-host, the Governor of the County of Kisumu, Professor Anyango, for walking this difficult journey with us, and the leadership of UCLGA and the Mass Single Out, the Secretary General Basi. It's really been an honor working with you and walking this journey with you. And also the Kingdom of Morocco for holding our hands, my colleagues in Cabinet, as well as those who are in the County Government of Kisumu, and also our development partners and corporates who have provided financial support, all the presenters and panelists for the excellent presentations and inputs, and to all our service providers who made this all possible. More importantly, I wish to thank all the committee members, rising of the Cabinet Committee, the Technical Committee of Principal Secretaries, led by my very able PS, Korean, and the Multi-Agency Committee for their dedication and work put into the delivery of this summit. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last 5 days, delegates were privileged to delve into details on how to make our intermediary cities sustainable and livable for all our citizens. The thrust of our discussions was in addressing the growing urban poverty in Africa and how to alleviate this situation. This has emphasized the need to make urban areas locus for local economic development with interventions aimed at building resilience of the urban poor. We are all in agreement that our urban areas will increasingly require non-traditional financing frameworks and decentralized resources to meet the needs of the growing populations. It is imperative that policies, laws, and regulations are developed to support the building blocks and resilience of future cities, while at the same time strengthening the capacity of the local leadership. In sharing our experiences, we have realized that the climate crisis is already with us, and to this end, discussions held during this summit will inform Africa's position on the climate change at the COP27 in November 2022. It is therefore great to explore key transitional interventions that incorporate clean energy, digital interventions, and climate-smart solutions to address these gaps. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the African Union Agenda 2063 is Africa's blueprint and master plan for transforming Africa into the global powerhouse of the future, which aims at ensuring an integrated, prosperous, peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens, representing a dynamic force in the international arena. As it has been repeatedly said, intermediary cities and urban centers are engines of economic transformation of Africa. I therefore urge all the national and sub-national governments to channel resources towards realizations of all resolutions passed at this summit. The big question that we'll need to grapple with is how we can access the much-needed finances in the face of dwindling exchequers from the national governments to competing needs. At the opening ceremony, His Excellency the President of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, urged us to use this summit as a questioning one and gave us 12 questions, as Professor Nyong'o has said, which we should seek to answer as we address the major challenges facing our intermediary cities and urban centers. I believe that as we come to a close of this summit, we have during our deliberations answered some of these questions, and that the answers will inform our way forward back home in transforming the living conditions in our intermediary cities. For those that we still do not have complete answers, let us continue with this dialogue even as we prepare for the next summit in Cairo, Egypt in 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, let me once again Thank you for finding time to attend the Africities Summit. And before you go back home, I urge you to find time and sample what this lakeside, beautiful lakeside city of Kisumu has to offer. Thank you and God bless you. The Secretary General has said, I should conclude by saying it is now my pleasure to declare the 9th Africities Summit officially closed. But don't go away yet. In the evening, please put on your dancing shoes and come back and let us enjoy the last night in Kisumu together. Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you all. We nearly hit the target. We are back 9 minutes from what we announced that we would end this meeting at 2 o'clock p.m. It's 2:09. I wanted, before to close the meeting, to take advantage of your presence here to recognize the work done by all the people that work in here. And I should single out some of the people that I battle with daily. P.S. Kuri, Elizabeth, where is Elizabeth? We nearly fight with the house. And when this happened, in my tribe, they say it's a blessing. We want to thank the PCO, all the service providers that will wake up at 2 o'clock. Oh, this is missing. Where are you? And they run, they come, they repair. But we want to thank all the people. Nobody complained about eating. Nobody. And guess what? Nobody complained about ushers. They are all around. Drivers. They are all around. Most important, you have people. Young. Ladies in toilets. You cannot have a comfortable meeting without what we call these small acts that are all of it. Because if they are not there, you can't. The governance. To this, thank you. Please go have the lunch, and nobody should miss the dancing, dining, and we want to have dancing tonight.
today, President's Excellencies, what a great movement it is. As the mothers of migrations, we have a responsibility to make a difference, to propose a new social contract, yes, within the framework of the sustainable.
Kisumu County and Kisumu City, and we're very grateful for giving us the opportunity as Kenya, as Kisumu with Professor Nyang, to be the first intermediary city in Africa to host Africities.
Africities is all about a conversation to empower people to take charge of themselves and to rebuild self-esteem. Therefore, start job. I accept and share and accept that Africities will be a landmark in history.
Our engagement in more than 30 countries in Africa has given us opportunities to foster collaboration, both national and local governments, with prosperous, safe and resilient cities in Africa, with the support of the development of national urban policies in 20 countries in Africa.
The African Union embraces the theme of the soul of Africities. Also, intermediary cities is the implementation of Agenda 2030 of the United Nations with Agenda 2063 of the EU principles of decentralization, local governments, local government, facilitate implementation of decentralization, which remains
Ladies and gentlemen, kindly we want the members of press to come in. We have the final session of the press conference. Members of the press. The attention, members of the press, kindly come forward.